I don't really want to knock Nicole Kidman's performance because I thought she actually did a pretty solid I think she did better than people expected, certainly than I expected. But the story itself and just sort of the pithy, there was a bit of like it was just such a TV movie. Yeah. Like this felt like such
you remember when we used to have those?
Yeah, it felt like such a TV movie. Yeah. And that's what this was.
I mean, it's funny. I never thought I would pine for a TV movie, but now I understand its role to do these to do this kind of stuff. This kind of half-hearted bio, because I mean,
and while I do appreciate the side of Lucille Ball that they captured in terms of her actually being a very cunning, but not in like a negative sense. I feel like cunning gets used in a villainous way a lot, but she was just somebody who was very like straightforward and brass tacks. Like, this is why this isn't funny. You need to move this here, and you do, she's very like that in real life. And I always love that clip of her, like, and she's in an interview in her old age. She's like, Desi was a bum. He was a bum.
Hey, Chelsea.
Hey, Victoria.
You know what I need?
What?
One of those breaths of fresh movie I'm hearing so much about.
Yeah, you've been hearing a lot of,
I've been hearing about them.
It's crazy because I could absolutely go for a breath of fresh movie.
Sick.
Sounds great.
All right, cool. That's a movie I like to see. Listening to A Breath of Fresh Movie, a podcast where I, Victoria Harley,
and I, Chelsea Pope,
we watch a podcast.
I feel like I just did a verbal contract, like it is our vows.
It is our vows.
I do.
Yeah. Every week we watch a movie that neither one of us has ever seen, and then we talk about it, and then we vow to talk about it. That's like our thing. Yeah. Checking your phone there.
I'm sorry. I'm just
gonna call it out.
Sorry, just my boyfriend and just now Venmo requested me to pay for we went to go see Jackass. Okay. But a friend of his bought the tickets, but he paid more for the fancy seats, which is cool. But then I don't know what I was charged for. I think they were normal ticket prices. I don't know.
So how much money are we talking?
I just paid 16 something.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, which is I think that was less than a ticket at the ArcLight.
Yeah, ArcLight was
expensive.
But
I do miss it. Sorry, I didn't mean it, but I was like,
no,
it's
what? Okay.
Fine, I'll freaking pay. Oh, by the way, I also saw Jackass, but yeah.
Yeah, how was it?
I loved it. I mean, it was just everybody was there, and this is the right time.
Yeah.
This is just
the energy in the theater had to be great.
It was so great. It was
love that.
all the bits were great, and the camaraderie, and I genuinely, it was no joke. I genuinely loved that Johnny Knoxville especially filmed right before any of the opening credits or anything play. It's after the previews, and she's like, "Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville. Thanks for coming out to see Jackass. Thanks for supporting your local movie theater. Blah blah blah. Enjoy the And I was like, that's really nice. Yeah. I was like. There's something so wholesome about it because they're really going for it too. They're really pushing their limits, and there's a certain level of innovation about everything they're doing. I'm sorry, this is so not about Jackass.
I think I was talking about this with my boyfriend, that it's Jackass grew up with its fans.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
the fans are seeing themselves reflected. We're just years down the road now, and I don't know. I think a lot of people needed it. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Jackass. Sorry. This week's episode is about the 2009 thriller Mother. Not to be confused with the Darren Aronofsky movie Mother with an exclamation point. We're not talking about that. I just want to make that clear.
We're not talking about Mother. We're talking about Mother.
Directed by Bong Joon-Ho, who a lot of us know from Parasite.
Yes.
Because he was the Parasite,
he's
right?
He's the guy who made his Oscars kiss.
Yes.
He did the kissies, which is great. There's which is just so emblematic of I guess playfulness that even with very serious movies and dark shit, he has a little just the right tint of he has a sense of humor about it because it's always so human. You know,
you're totally right. It's something that people point out is these tone shifts that he has, these sudden tone shifts. But when he's well aware that people describe his work that way, and he's like, I don't consciously make those decisions, or like I don't see them necessarily as I'm going to do a tone shift here. He makes sure that like life is represented.
It's almost like it's like too honest of reactions in certain moments, but in the right way. It's like
just the right way.
Because sometimes things are so dramatic that they don't feel real when there is humor. Yeah, this is a good movie of, you know, just like Parasite had, you know, that push and pull. Like I feel like this movie like is an even deeper lean into the into like,
this felt so similar to Parasite. Like it just, I mean it's a thriller. It's been compared to Hitchcock, and that's a sound comparison. Like it has, I mean, as far as just like murder mystery goes, it's like it keeps you engaged. And you're never really quite sure what is the deal or what will happen, you know, or what is happening. Like we were saying that before we started, that like its act 2 feels like many other films act 3. Yeah. So its act 3 adds this like extra depth. It's just, he doesn't stop like evolving the plot. And it's great.
It's very good.
Yeah. You cannot look away. Yeah. Like I was completely transfixed. Just to get the plot out of the way, after her intellectually disabled son is accused of murder, a mother, who we never learn her name ever, attempts to find the true killer in order to free her son. So this is, you know, she essentially takes on the investigation at some point. It's a weird combination film. It's got a bit of like true crime. It's, well, not true crime, but it has a bit of crime. Yeah. It has a bit of mystery. It had some like David Fincher vibes at times, you know, like it had some Zodiac vibes a little bit here and there. Not quite the same, not a perfect analogy at all I'm trying to make there, but just certain aspects of the mysterious, digging into the seedy underbelly of things. Like what were your first impressions after watching this? I mean, really, really loved that like, I'm always so like, what's this first, like I really try to pay attention to what the very first shot is of a movie. You know, we both talked about that, not just how the credits are structured, but just like what is the very first thing you see. And in this, it's the field, and she walks up, and it feels like it's going to be this very like slow thing. And then she does this very whimsical, random, it reminded me of like the Twin Peaks dance in a sense, where it is sort of like, it's a tonal upset that you don't expect. And it's just like, there's almost like a sense of humor about like, oh, you were a little worried, weren't you just now? Like and she's got a little. And a tiny celebration. Like it kind of foretells something that she will win. Like for whatever reason, I was like, I had a confidence that whatever happened, like she was okay because of that scene, even though I didn't know for sure that was like the end and the beginning, but you know what I mean, like, but the idea that it was, there was something about it. But I'm with you. I really enjoyed that. And then you know, just visually there's a lot of really great shots throughout this. Completely agree. Like I was thinking about the shot since you brought it up, just like the when the murder victim is hanging from the when she's seen for the first time, she's hanging off the edge of, it's like this sort of I guess roof ledge. Right. I was trying to think of the right words for that. And she's dead. It's a balcony. Yeah, it's balcony. But what I love, I mean, it's not the fact she's dead. But in the shot, in like the bottom, she's up in like the top left, and in the bottom right, the two detectives are there talking and looking up at her. And like, or maybe one of them walks into frame to talk with the other. But it's like, they don't ever leave that. It's like, no, we're gonna live in this space and in this shot for a while. And I didn't know this when I was watching the film, but Bong Joon-Ho is like a really big fan, or he doesn't shoot coverage, which is like, shouldn't be significant for like an auteur filmmaker, because quite honestly, it's like, okay, what does that mean? Like when you're making films, I'm just briefly tell people. No, please, no, it's good to like when you're making films, you know, let's say you have two people having a conversation. Well, you want to shoot both of them together, but then you also want to shoot each one of those people individually. And so that's called coverage, in the sense that like, okay, we've got her reactions, we've got his reactions. Some people take that a step further and do like a wide, a medium, a close-up, like for each person, you know? that's what they teach you to do in film school. And it's not inappropriate in the sense that your editor will have options. But most filmmakers who really know what they're doing and have a vision don't do that. They come in, they're like, no, I know what I want. I know that this is the shot. And it saves a lot of fucking time.
Right.
At least like it means actors actually have more room to like experiment and play, because you're not rushing to do all of these repetitive takes and all these extra things, because you know what you want from people. And anyway, I think like that's so interesting to learn. And I guess he likes to keep the editor. Sometimes he has the editor on set, and each day is pulling the footage and sort of cutting the film while it's still being made, and he's willing to let go of things. He's like, scenes that sometimes are 4 pages long, it's like he'll just shoot the first part and then kind of like let go of whatever isn't working, or if that's enough is enough. Like, and I don't know, I'm going on and on, but it's a very important thing to note, because in that way it's like these shots are so utilitarian that every single one of them packs like a lot of they're all pretty meaty, they're all pretty important, and I also too, you brought up the girl on the balcony, and like it's a morbid shot, but I liked how it dissolved from this like very uncomfortable incestuous moment between the mother and son, and the bottom right corner to the top left corner with the girl. You're totally right.
I didn't realize what it was until it was mostly faded. I'm just like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah. Okay, you brought up that moment. Have he and his mom had sex? Like, do you think... What do you think there?
I think...
I'm sorry to dwell on it, but it was a question.
Well, the character, the boy was very like sex obsessed. Like he was very, he didn't know how to articulate what he needed or whatever. And I think, it's not outside of the realm of possibility. Like, certainly the question is raised when he grabs her titty and she's just like, I'm tired. Like,
there was something about it implied like that this was not the first time this has happened.
That there is this level of just
and that he's like. And that's the thing. They're very vague about it. He has, an intellectual disability, but he's also very sensitive to it. So, they established really early on that anyone who calls him, a retard, that is the term, he will get very mad at.
That is the triggering term for him. That specific
it triggers
word.
Him exactly, and like. That pays off, in a big way. And there's all of these things that pay off. And, the mother, she spent a lifetime defending her son against probably all manner of shit that people didn't understand. She's probably constantly having to explain his behavior to people.
Right.
No, he's okay. So this is just like the ultimate test for her.
Right.
This murder has been pinned on him. I don't know what the state of the law was in South Korea at this time, but he wouldn't be competent to have signed that confession.
Right.
Like, at least... I want to say that's true here in America, but I'm sure he could have gone down for it too. I mean, I saw Making a Murder, but he just wanted to go to WrestleMania. Anyway, but he signs this confession, which makes matters worse. So she hires this lawyer. What did you think of that lawyer?
I mean, I love that buffet scene. Again, it just he does so much praise for the way this film is made, where it's just he's not subtle about what he wants you to think of a character.
Yes, totally.
But by the same token, it's done with care at the same time. It's the perfect kind of show not tell for me.
I totally hear you.
I loved just the walking around.
I never
he's
sit
just
down
filling
at a
his
buffet.
I never sit down, but I fucking love that line. Then he's like, no running. Like, he owns this place. He's just, there's no running. And then the poor mother, she's trying to just like, she puts a couple cherry tomatoes. She's, okay.
Yeah.
And like, just so much is painted in that picture,
And ultimately he doesn't really do anything to help her,
Right.
Like,
he just takes.
Yeah, it just ends up being this empty thing.
Yeah.
So the fact that her son also has these issues with memory loss. One thing a lot of things we haven't mentioned about her. So she, her job appears to be kind of dealing in like herbal remedies, very traditional, kind of small little shop, where she's like cutting shit by hand with like that crazy guillotine.
Yeah,
slicer.
the very loud fucking slice. That's very disorienting.
They built tension with that thing. That was great. She also is an unlicensed acupuncturist and has sort of earning money on the side. It's clear that they're pretty destitute though, that like she's really trying to like hold this shit together. I mean, the fact that like she and her son have to share a bed is, kind of another sleeping mat might have been possible. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? But it looks bleak. It looks like, and the fact is, at the very beginning, he gets clipped by somebody in a very expensive car, and so that even, and they don't stop. You know, that even is indicative, right, of like there's this strong classist shit going on. Where like they don't even have to stop, and they go and hunt them down. They find them. They're at a golf course. I mean, the ultimate kind of, I mean, status here, but like in South Korea, there's not space for golf. Like that's extra luxurious there. It's like, you know. I mean, there's obviously space for golf, but it's just, it comes at a much higher price.
Right. You know? It's just even more indicative of what. Yeah.
But there's so much about this, like this woman that I just immediately cared about her.
Yeah.
Like she's
very, immediately sympathetic and draws you in. And I like that the first thing we saw too was something that was a little more whimsical as opposed to just her always being this sort of suffering woman. The first dance I think was very like meaningful, and just seeing that there was this sort of freedom or craved freedom or just abandon that.
Yeah. I mean, you could interpret many things from it. And I think that's kind of what's nice. And I think it kind of unseats you from the very beginning in this like way that's like, you don't know what's going to happen. Right. You just don't, because you didn't see that coming.
That was a subversion.
She started dancing. By the way, the mother, who we never learned her name, but the actress is named Kim Hye-ja, and her son is played by Won Bin. Just some cast details.
Good to know.
This film had a $5 million budget. And when it came out, it was the 6th highest grossing film in South Korea in 2009. So that's a very specific metric, but I don't want to misrepresent it. It premiered May 16th, 2009 at the Cannes Film Festival. Cannes. And in South Korea, it was the 6th most attended domestic film of 2009 and 10th overall. Again, very specific metrics. It had a limited release in the US through Magnolia Pictures in 2010. So it was in a few theaters, but definitely this is the kind of thing you had to probably be a bit of a art house nerd, to be into this. South Korean film is definitely like kicking off. It was really robust at this time. So like there were a lot of filmmakers, I think, starting to get noticed.
Sure.
But yeah, certainly not the level that, Parasite brought him to.
Right.
He became a household name, after that.
Totally.
All right. So I have some reviews here. As always, so Roger Ebert, I had to actually Google. I'm like, was he still alive? He was still alive.
Right.
So this is from him. He said, a film like Mother is an adult film, not in the sense that it contains X-rated material, but in the sense that it appeals to intelligent grown-ups. He said, a bright 10-year-old can understand most Hollywood films. He said, it isn't a luxury to see indie or alternative films. It's a necessity.
I like that.
Yeah.
This movie has a lot of nutritional value.
It does. He kind of had a tirade in there about how like Disney had declared they weren't going to make anything but for like children. And he was just like, ugh,
Yeah.
But that complaint that like there's no culture for adults.
Right.
I hear people saying that. The Chicago Reader said, it takes on the fractured Freudianism of Hitchcock's Psycho. That's kind of a brief one.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's valid.
Yeah, I like this one, though, because after I saw this from the LA Times. The easy comparison here is to Hitchcock, but Bong moves at a slower pace, more like Claude Chabrol, and like both of those forebears, Bong certainly knows how to generate suspense. And finally, from the New York Times, while Mother can seem like a caricature of monstrous maternity, the performance is enormously subtle, filled with shades of gray that emerge in tandem with the unwinding investigation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
the praise for the performance, because this movie is so really hinges so much on her performance too.
Yeah, and there's things that I guess if you're describing the lengths she doesn't go to extreme lengths, but at one point she does break into somebody's house and hide in their closet, trying to find like evidence, and
she's doing pretty ballsy stuff.
She's doing some ballsy shit, and it's not out of the realm of possibility, but there's this kind of like surprise element to it. Like it's playing with the procedural like form or genre a little bit, and it really sets you up to believe like there's a companion of his that it looks really suspicious, and it's like, and she really is like desperate to find him out that he's guilty, and he's not. And I love how the film sets up a couple of different suspects, and then the girl, we start to like find out about the girl who was killed.
Right.
And once we start learning about her, I mean, what did you think about that whole thing with her phone? Like the pervert phone?
Oh, yeah. That shit was like, they kept adding layers to an already very, very at times just frustrating mystery to be going through, you know, because it definitely felt like when you're listening to a podcast and like, oh, but by the way, they were also doing this freaky shit. Like it reminded me a lot of
Next Week
it totally reminded me of Twin Peaks in the sense that like Laura Palmer was 100 different people at once.
She was too many people.
She was volunteering at the this is the cartoon. That's the joke of
there's no way she would have all the time to be with all those dudes and do the Meals on Wheels.
How could she be so charitable and
hang out with the shut-ins?
So hoey at the same time.
She did everything.
She's too. There's too many.
That's the danger of over programming.
Yeah,
you can't have that.
But no, I agree. That vibe with that girl.
It definitely had a Laura Palmer vibe because you know, on the one hand, I think the mother's like a little hesitant to. I think she's hesitant to like try to take down the girl in this way, to assassinate her character.
Right.
But there are other people in the town who are like, well, I know this about her and I know this detail. And then there's some question about who's got her phone, because this girl has evidently had a lot of different affairs with different men all over town.
Right.
And her friend basically like rigged her phone so that when it takes a photo, no sound is made, which again, we're talking about 2009. So, you know, that was high tech.
Right.
And so this girl who ends up dead, ended up using this phone to take photos of all the men that she had slept with as kind of like a blackmail, like bank, you know?
Right.
And we don't get to learn a lot more about her. There is a moment though where I really felt like, oh, she's dead inside. Like she's tired of everything. Like, and that doesn't justify her vanishing off the planet like she does. It's horrible what happens to her. And I mean, I don't know. I realize like people listening know we always talk about the plot. So
we're like spoilers ahead.
But I mean, like if I have to put like a alert on it, now would be the time, because I was so disappointed to find out it was Do-Jun. Like I was heartbroken.
I could kind of feel it.
He really did it.
I could kind of feel it coming. Like, just once, like
I believed his innocence so much.
Yeah. But I think around the time that it was like I don't know how I sensed it. Just there had to have been like context clues that I can't really articulate. But just like,
I mean, good for you.
I think it almost felt like it was too easy that she would show up and then just have
That's
to
true.
like it felt like after everything we already kept getting these momentous reveals, and then the guy's like, yeah, I'm feeling really bad about this thing I saw, you know, and like even leading up to that, it was like it kind of reminded me, as you see sort of the humble life this guy's living, it's like, oh, there's almost a little too much humanizing going on here. I feel like we're gonna get pivoted here.
Oh, you saw it coming. I
didn't know necessarily it was going to be.
No, but I mean, when the confirmation happened, it was a surprise for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I just assumed with the mother, you know, I was like, oh, well, he has to be innocent. Like he has to be. And which even feels like, I feel like that's her experience, right? Like that is such a deft way to put you in her shoes.
Right.
Because it's like when she does find out, it ends up getting blamed on somebody else who's like even more mentally,
which is just like the way that that happens to work out. And then the best scene, of course, when she visits him.
I can't even think about it.
I know.
It's like so upsetting. I will cry.
That is so heartbreaking. And then when the guy's so simple and he's just like,
he's just smiling about it. Yeah.
And he's just happy to
and we know he didn't do it, not just because we know Do-Jun did, but like the whole thing about the woman having nosebleeds and that like, no, she really did have a nosebleed on his shirt. Like it wasn't. But it's like, nope, blood on the shirt. He did it, you know? And it's just like, Jesus Christ. Like, you get how that's so open and shut for everybody. But like...
It's so sad, though, at the same time.
And her reaction, her sadness, like, cues us, you know, to understand, like, how... Like, she has this gratitude, but it's also like, this is terrible that this has to fall on... Like, I know... I know what that feels like, and there's no one to defend him, no mother to look out for him the way she's looking out for her child.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if she
brutal.
were... Brutal. Yeah, and then
remove the knots in your heart and get rid of bad memories.
Right.
And it's interesting that
comes
he has
up a few times. It's interesting how you like, I didn't expect the significance of that as much.
It ended up mattering so, to the end. Yeah. And also kind of back to the beginning with the dancing, because she's dancing on the bus at the end, and it's like, and it's like this interest. I mean, it's funny that he has memory issues and then she's kind of like trying to forget a bit, There's just a lot of different like themes there about like what you carry with you, and that she'll have to carry that with her now for the rest of her life. So of course she'll just medicate it away, you know, any way she knows how. I don't know. God, there was so much about this movie.
It was so much, and also just so like just like the like how cinematic it all was too.
Gorgeous.
The bus, the dancing through the ends.
I know,
and
that was great.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It was, I read my dude, Joon did it! Exclamation point.
Yeah, he did it. But also, I liked just.
I wrote down the end felt like it ended like an Almodovar film. It was like with the music and the dancing and the kind of like a little bit unsettled, feeling like it's resolved, but oof, like there was a lot of pain we just went through, Also, there was a scene where, getting your tooth kicked out looks hella painful.
Yeah, it looked awful.
I saw some review, another Letterboxd review, because I love to check out what people said. And they said something to the effect of like, in a Bong Joon-Ho movie, when someone gets hit in the head, I feel it in my entire body.
Yeah. And how, because it happened. He seems to do this a lot to people. He's got the cranial injuries, head butting, kicks, drops, rocks.
I wonder if I think it's the sound design. I think that's what's selling it.
Yeah, right? Just like with the sky thing, she's cutting the fucking she's like,
guillotine cutter. Yeah, I knew that it was gonna. Yeah, she was gonna hurt herself. I knew that. Some notes about our director, who's in the director's chair, Bong Joon-ho. He was born September 14th, 1969 in Seoul, South Korea. He attended Yonsei University. His major was sociology, which I think is actually like, of course it was. Look, his films are so critical of institutions and society. Yes.
They're about society.
What's interesting is when he was attending school, it was during a period of political upheaval in South Korea. Demonstrations were happening like weekly. Campuses were particular hotbeds for that kind of activity. So he said, we had really no interest in going to class. We would go to protests and then we'd go and drink and hang out and talk. So it was, people were fighting for the expansion of democratic rights, more labor unions. Also, there was some push because there was a desire to reunify with North Korea as well, which might sound crazy for some people given the way things are, but families are split up is the truth of it. So, it's not that crazy. But anyway, he talked about how we routinely were tear gassed. That was a thing he experienced a lot. He said they would make what he called humanitarian Molotov cocktails. So instead of gasoline, they'd use paint thinner and water because I guess it wouldn't be as damaging. And they said because, plenty of the people who were the troops against us in the protest were just people our age who had been conscripted because military service is required, like 2-year service in Korea at this time. So, no one really wanted to fight each other. And yet there was all this violence happening. It was really depressing time. And he described the tear gas. I saw this in an interview. He said, it was a very traumatic smell. It's impossible to describe. It's nauseating, stinging, hot. Sometimes I smell it in my dreams. Yeah.
Wow. This guy, he has an understanding of sensory revulsion.
Yeah. Yeah. And what it takes to get a fucking piece of the pie, Yeah. Just everybody wants.
He's not afraid to show disgusting, revolting stuff. Yeah. But in a really sort of not just for
just a laugh though.
Yeah, not for it's not for a laugh or for perversion or whatever. It's just I think about when the toilet overflows in Parasite.
God, that scene. You know, visceral.
People pissing by their window or whatever. Shit like that. I'm just this
God. In Mother, when she's he's drinking out of the bowl while he's urinating.
She's helping him drink the broth while he's fucking peeing.
And waiting for the bus.
And his dick.
And then she tried to kind of cover up where I like that. So anyway, Bong Joon-ho, he came out of a tumultuous period. He did attend the Korean Academy of Film Arts, so that's where he got the film training. Censorship laws got relaxed in South Korea. So at that time, a lot of suddenly cinemas were popping up, especially like kind of like the French style Cinematheque, where like we show old movies and people who program stuff. He said also like magazines and lots of pop culture was suddenly just blossoming because people kind of could now. And that was at the period where he started his own film club. It was called the Yellow Door, which he was like, is a stupid name. It was literally because there was a yellow door on the building. Like, that's it. It was sort of that point he started making shorts, and then eventually those shorts got him some attention, and then his first feature film is called Barking Dogs Never Bite. It came out in 2000. I haven't seen it, but it's on my list.
Check it out.
Yeah, he followed that up.
List too now.
Yeah, no. I mean, here's some of his other films, just real quick. Memories of Murder in 2003, The Host in 2006, which was like kind of about like a monster coming up out of the Han River. I remember people talking about it. Tokyo in 2008, Mother 2009, which we're talking about. He did Snowpiercer 2012, which I've never seen that. Okja, I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, Okja.
Have you seen that?
Maybe it is Okja.
2017.
I watched like parts of it. I haven't watched all of it.
I haven't seen it, but now I didn't realize it was his. So I'm like, oh, I probably would watch it now. And then of course Parasite in 2019, which was the big deal, winning like best director, best film, best
all the
shit, like, all the important ones. Just another detail. Apparently as a child, he saw the film Black Orpheus, and that made like a really big impact on him.
I don't know. I've not seen Black Orpheus.
It's a Brazilian French co-production. They do a version of Orpheus, but it's set in Brazil during Carnival.
I would totally want to watch that.
It's great.
And
I can sort of like appreciate why that would be really significant for, because it's taking a Greek myth, it's setting it in a new place, it gave it a whole new life and a whole new spirit, and I think there's something really cool about that. Like we can choose whatever we want. Like we can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. Finally, just to close out, the films that he considers having the biggest impact on his personal view of cinema, the following 10 films: A City of Sadness, Cure, Fargo, The Housemaid, Psycho, Raging Bull, Touch of Evil, Vengeance is Mine, The Wages of Fear, and Zodiac.
Wow.
There's a lot of good movies
I mentioned,
on here, but
that makes so much sense.
Fincher, yeah.
Well, and then also Fargo, and
I know, right? Fargo's such a great example of like that. I mean, the Coen brothers are perfect at that tonal shift.
Yeah.
Of
like humor and really dark.
Bingo. I totally see the influence.
Subjects. Yeah.
So anyway, there's lots more to learn about this guy. That was just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm glad to have learned about his particularly a student experience.
Yeah,
like just
that's
understanding
cool.
that he was really in the shit.
Yeah.
And
he's been through it.
Yeah. It makes me think that he hasn't forgotten. I mean, it just shows in his films, like, right? Like,
no, yeah,
they
absolutely.
have such a respect for like the working class.
Yes.
I don't know.
I really know it's refreshing, or it has been refreshing to see that, and especially in light of just there really isn't like enough of that.
I completely agree. Some people are talking about Abbott Elementary as being kind of a good. I've actually been really enjoying that series.
I gotta watch it. Everybody's been raving about it.
It's this comedy show. It's a totally different tone than what we're talking about now.
No, but it seems like it's more of like for the people.
It feels, It's also interesting how like, as soon as networks are like, oh no, like we don't have anyone watching. Okay, we'll finally greenlight like, a black sitcom. And then it turns out to be fucking great. It's just like, I don't know. Anyway, I mean, these things are
but it's so true. Like,
I mean, that show's kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say it's like single-handedly resurrecting ABC. It's not, but it's like it's pulling decent ratings at a time when nobody is watching.
No one's watching.
I mean, people our age, we stream.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm watching it on Hulu, but anyway.
But still,
But it's much more based in like, we don't have money for supplies. The lights are broken. Like it's really rooted in like the difficulty and the turnover that they have.
Yeah.
People don't last, And
yeah.
Like, I mean, I think a lot of people have really shitty existences and, through no fault of their own.
Yeah.
This idea that like, well, we talked about it, like that pull yourself up your bootstraps is like, no, that literally meant the impossible.
Yeah.
So, eat the rich.
Eat the rich.
Yum, yum.
Delicious.
What are you going to eat the rich with?
What am I going to eat the rich with?
I'm thinking like Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah, I like the sound. Like, I like that Worcestershire sauce sounds like it's a fancy condiment, even though
it's just kind of clove water.
Yeah, it's just a flavoring.
Yeah, I love it.
Like, it's like soy sauce, but not soy sauce.
It's British soy sauce.
It's British soy sauce. But anyway,
Disgusting.
so that's what you would. I would have it.
Yeah. I would assume we're going to be eating a lot of fatty meats.
I would go with yeah, I would totally treat them like with a side of au jus, some horseradish, like
dip?
treat it like a prime
Gonna
dip,
have a dip?
prime rib.
Yeah.
You know, a little dip or a little French
Get yourself
dip.
a little bun.
Yeah, I'll get myself a nice chewy, slightly stale hoagie bun.
I like it.
Soak the bread.
Would you watch this movie again?
I only hesitate just because it can be a little slow at times.
Yeah.
Until once it picks up,
Yeah.
and then when it does pick, it's a very draining story. It's not the most. Despite the humor we talked about, it's not exactly a whimsical story.
I realize, like, we didn't address. There's this whole scene, where the son, despite his memory loss, remembers that when he was 5 years old, his mother tried to poison both him and her by having them drink insecticide.
Right.
That's brutal. That is, like, fucking brutal. And when he recounts it to her, like, there's no denying it. Like, she just, like...
Yeah, she's like, how do you remember that? Like, just...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did the Temples of Doom. He rubbed his...
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, he did his little gesture thing.
I didn't... That was one of those Act 3 things that was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like, oh, yeah.
And then So I assume he was kind of... He was born the way he was born, so I'm sure at that point.
Sure.
But I wondered how much of that was a little bit like, I mean, she was taking herself out too, presumably, but like she was already in that much pain.
Right at that point, and then it didn't work.
And then it didn't work. Like, what they say, he just ended up shitting water for a couple of days, was what she said, or something.
Yeah.
Like, it just was. I mean, that's even a kind of failure that's like, fuck, I can't even kill myself.
That's so sad.
So during my research this week, I actually learned there was a lot of negative press surrounding the insecticide industry, like right after the movie was released.
Damn.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a lot of people were really outraged about...
Like they hadn't thought of it sooner?
Probably,
Like, okay.
Like, I mean, the way like she uses it in the film, and anyway.
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Yeah, but I actually, crazy. I have a public relations representative from Lone Star Insecticides on the line today.
What?
Yeah, I went a little above and beyond. Cindy, are you there?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're here.
What? Wait. Yeah, we're here.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Hello. Thank you so much for having me, ladies. Really appreciate the chance to sort of come on and clear the air.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
No, thanks for taking the time to talk to us, because, you know, our listeners, this is where they come for insecticide news.
Fun. We love to hear that. So, you know, we know that there were a lot of really strong emotions about Lone Star Insecticide after the film, which is so valid and understandable. But I know that your listeners are really here for that inside.
Naturally.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So if we can be candid, and I mean, really, let's be candid, right?
Hi. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Do it.
So no one really asked us what we thought about it. You know, all of this drama about like the mother, her son, like I get it, like of course, but no one really asked us how we were feeling.
Oh, no, not the neglected feelings of a corporation.
But it goes without saying that Lone Star Insecticide does not condone the use of our products to attempt the murder, suicide of families, no matter how overwhelming the circumstances of poverty and disability may be.
You said you don't condone it, right?
Correct. Do not condone. Absolutely. Do not. But by no means do not.
Do not, and the contraction don't.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
But we at Lone Star also value our reputation as a high quality product. So while we certainly don't want to encourage anyone to attempt to kill small children,
Jesus.
We're also saying that our product could do that if it wanted to. So just so we're clear. And we are absolutely engaging in this conversation with open hearts and minds. We are listening. We are reflecting. It is not a question of the strength of the product.
Okay, do you really think that's what's important right now?
I'm just saying, no matter what the unwanted presence in your home is, whether it's cockroaches, crickets, fruit flies, or your own young son, Lone Star can get the job done.
Wow.
But only use it according to package instructions. Because it's strong. But this was not our fault. But it could have been, but it wasn't.
Okay, thanks.
I wonder if the golf ball company actually from the movie has a PR person handling them.
I know, right?
Oh, they do. Yeah, that's me.
So you're not in-house at the Lone Star Insecticide?
No.
Okay.
No, I freelance. I consult with a lot of companies looking to put some distance between themselves and the customers who use their products to commit horrible acts. So I also work with the Tiki Torch people,
of course, yeah.
Flavor Aid, Cheesecloth, Twinkies, Ford Light Broncos.
Oh, wow. This was fascinating. This is fascinating. I never thought about the runaway train effect you
can't, you try to make a good product, you put it out there, and then people just do whatever they want with it.
I mean, truly, there's the artist's intentions, and then there's what the people think.
Can we separate, the product from the producer? From the producer.
From the consumer. Yeah. I really think that I'm just really grateful to hear that finally the consumers are being held accountable.
Yeah,
I've been anti-consumer my whole life.
Yeah, you've gone on record for quite a while about that.
It's true. I just think they oughta just stop.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, don't stop consuming our product.
Oh yeah, no, you gotta keep buying the stuff. Oh yeah.
Consume a little bit. Am I right, ladies? Let's not get crazy.
Sure. Do not stop spending money.
Always be spending. Always be ABS. Always be spending.
All right. Well,
love that spirit.
Thank you,
Cindy. Thank you for calling and clearing all this up for our listeners.
Of course, you got my LinkedIn, right?
Oh yeah.
Love that.
So to answer your question, I don't know how. I'm not jumping at my feet to rewatch it, but it was a very good film.
I think I would watch it with someone who's never seen it.
Sure.
Just to have the experience of them.
Yeah.
Like I will show someone The Jinx, and if they've never seen it and they don't know anything about it, I'm like, all right. We're going to watch it till the end.
Yeah.
And I won't tell them a word. I just want to live for their reaction so I can get high off of it.
Right.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
I totally get what you mean.
Okay. I mean,
I felt that way about almost weird. Every musical I've loved.
Thank you so much for listening. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd,
the cool app.
Yeah.
The cool kids app.
At Fresh Movie Pod. Same handle for all three of those. And it is for cool kids.
It's the cool app.
I'm like burping through my ears right now.
Sorry.
Do you ever do that?
For real?
You force it through your ears and stuff.
Yeah. I did that weird. I did a mouth burp, but you did the head. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
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 I do those all the time.
Where I can't hear anything.
So fun.
Yeah, I love it.